Hi everyone, this is Pankaj. I am a researcher in human consciousness and an avid reader of all things mystical and spiritual. I wanted to take out some time to talk to you about human consciousness and how we can explore the various levels of consciousness. In the simplest of terms, consciousness can be explained as our awareness of our own self and the world around us. This includes what we are gathering through our sensory systems, through seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and so on. But the potential of human consciousness cannot be merely restricted to the physical, because when we explore the higher states of consciousness through the process of meditation, we realize we can have visual experiences even when our eyes are closed. We can hear divine sounds even when our ears are closed. Similar to the dream state, when we go to sleep and we are dreaming, our eyes are closed and we are not conscious of the physical body, yet we see things, yet we hear, yet we can talk. In a dream state, however, our subconscious mind is at play, which brings these images and thoughts in front of us, but we have no control over it. The dream state can be referred to as the lowest level of consciousness. When we are in the physical state, it is the physical level of consciousness, and here we regard the physical body as ourself. But what if we were able to awaken ourselves to the next higher level of consciousness, the astral level? This can be done through the process of meditation, through a technique wherein we can withdraw our attention from the physical and collect it behind the eyes. And it is from there where we enter within the astral level of consciousness. And it is within us, not outside. Jesus Christ said, "The kingdom of God is within us." When we are awakened to the astral level of consciousness, we see the light within and we hear the divine sound within. All beings there are radiant and beautiful. At this level of consciousness, we are able to travel huge distances in space at a great speed. We realize that our capacity to see is better, our capacity to hear is better, and our capacity to communicate is better. This experience is often referred to as the astral projection or astral travel, because it is with our astral body that we are able to have these beautiful experiences. In Hindi, the astral body is called Suksham Sharir. It is a superior state of consciousness when we compare it to our experiences in the physical state. But what if we were able to withdraw our consciousness from the astral body and awaken to a still higher level of consciousness called the causal level of consciousness? The yogis who have experienced that state say that it is very difficult to even describe that experience. The causal level is the source of all experiences in the astral and physical levels, which is why it is called causal. In Hindi, we call the causal body as Karan Sharir. This causal body is nothing but what we call as the mind here. It thinks all the time, it contemplates all the time, it makes patterns all the time. What breathing is to the physical body, thinking is to the mind. If the mind stops thinking, it will die. All ideas and concepts are generated from causal level of consciousness, which leads to shapes and forms being created into the astral and physical levels. They say that nothing exists in the astral and physical regions which has not actually originated in the causal level. This is also sometimes called as the home of the mind. The capacity to grasp and experience all things exists in the mind. In the physical state, when we are constantly thinking, all of it is coming from the causal plane. And in the astral level, when we are constantly imagining, all of it is coming from the causal plane. These three are the makers of all experiences, physical, sensory, and causal, and they are all governed by the power of the universal mind. It is a very, very vast region in time and space. But this is not all. There are still higher levels of consciousness. If we withdraw our attention from the causal body and we can enter into a timeless, spaceless region of consciousness, For the first time, when one rises above the causal level, above the mind, one discovers one's true self. One realizes that they are not merely the covers of physical senses and the mind, they are only a cover upon the self, not the true self itself. For the first time, we see who the self is, what we call soul, individuated soul, which is a pure bliss. Until this point, we were associating ourselves with the physical body, and now we realize our true self. Astral plane has a twilight zone with blue sky, so it is never completely dark. Causal plane has the light of several suns. And these are no fantasies, no fiction. These are real experiences which are available to all humans. Which is why human form is called as the top of the creation, as these experiences are not available to any other life form. God is sometimes referred to as a storehouse of consciousness or an ocean of consciousness, and we are referred to as a drop of that ocean. The difference between enlightened beings and us is only the level of consciousness. They have awakened themselves to a higher level of consciousness, and we are unaware of our own consciousness. That is the only difference. Consciousness is much more than the functioning of the brain. It has more to do with our own awareness of the spiritual reality. The whole objective of someone pursuing a spiritual path is to move up the scale of consciousness until we are able to comprehend superconsciousness, to merge or drop back into the vast ocean. Consciousness is the source of everything. It has the ultimate power to create what we see and experience physically. We have to look deep within ourselves to experience the levels of consciousness. No amount of theoretical knowledge can satisfy us. These realities have to be experienced firsthand. And with the practice of meditation, our own consciousness leads to these realities within. The mystics tell us that the process is neither easy nor is it fast, but with patience and with practice, we can all do it. However, mind is the biggest barrier for our progress, as its tendency is towards darkness and our goal is towards the light. Human life is the most precious thing. We cannot get these realizations in any other form of life. We should not waste our time in trivial things. Nothing goes with us at the time of death. Only our own true self goes with us and our consciousness goes with us. And if we have worked upon our consciousness during our lifetime, then we are carrying something worthwhile even after death. Human form is a rare opportunity. No other life form out of the 8.4 million life forms described in the scriptures can have this experience. We must utilize this opportunity to find out our own true self. Greek philosophers have said, worship the gods if you must, but your first duty is to find out who you are, to find out answers to the fundamental questions of life. Who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going? What is the reason of my existence? We try to find answers to these questions through our intellect and reasoning, but the self is beyond the mind, reason, and logic. Which is why we must turn inwards to seek for the answers. We must change the direction of our search and look inwards. When we turn inwards, we will find light within ourselves. We will find sound within ourselves. We will realize that we are not merely a body. We will awaken ourselves spiritually, one level after the other. And ultimately, our individuated consciousness merges into the ocean of consciousness. I am happy I was able to share these things with you. Thank you for your time.